Welcome to episode 9, where I'll discuss the treatment of blisters in the backcountry. This is a sequel to episode 8, Blister Prevention. If you haven't seen it, take a look at it. Now, one thing I want to emphasize is that treating blisters in the backcountry differs from treating blisters, say at home after a long run or a gym workout. At home, you can rest the blister. In the backcountry, you just have to put that boot back on and continue the rest of your trek. No rest for the blister. Now, maybe you never get blisters, or you found the prevention techniques that I've discussed useful. I think you will still find this video valuable, not because you get blisters, but rather because your backcountry companions may need blister treatment. And if you've ever had a blister on your foot, you know that it is always easier to have someone else treat the blister rather than trying to contort yourself like a yoga master. In this video, I'll cover 2 topics. First, what to have in a blister first aid kit. Then second, how to treat the actual blisters. And of course, if you find this video useful, be sure to like and subscribe. And comments are always welcome.
Have in a first aid kit or a dedicated blister kit. First is a piece of moleskin. Then I would have some alcohol swabs, gauze pads, some Band-Aids. Additionally, I would carry what is known as blister tape. And for some of you, it may be a bit unusual, but I carry a needle. In lieu of the alcohol swabs, you can use hand sanitizer. And then from my toolkit, I have my Swiss Army knife with knife edge and scissors. This is basically what I would carry in the blister kit. All right, this sock is my simulated foot, and the dot is the blister. Now, blisters will often typically occur in the heel, the Achilles tendon, the ball of the feet. So, if you have a blister, you would prefer that somebody else take care of it for you. If you have to self-treat, you're going to be in some awkward twisting and contorting positions. So from the blister first aid kit, the first thing I would do is get my alcohol swab, clean the blister area and skin around it. Also, it helps dry it. I would also get my needle and basically do the same thing and sterilize the needle. Then what I'm going to do is on the lower edge of the blister, as close to the edge of the non-blistered skin where the blister begins, I would puncture the blister with the needle. Now, some of you may find that a bit odd, but I'll explain it a little bit later. Then I'll take the gauze pad, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply pressure to squeeze out the blister fluid, and also use the gauze pad to dry the area as much as possible. So then I have a clean, drained wound. The next thing I want to do is apply a protective covering. Now, I can use another gauze pad, trim it down with the scissors from the Swiss Army knife or other tool you may have. Or many people will use a Band-Aid, but this Band-Aid, I've cut off the adhesive strip and just left the sterile gauze. And I'll explain that a little bit later. What I'm now going to do is then apply this sterile covering to the wound area. Now, How am I going to keep it there? Well, I've taken my moleskin and I've trimmed it into a circular degree as much as possible, trying to avoid edges and corners that would snag. And then I'm going to use it to secure the sterile gauze covering the wound. Or in lieu of the moleskin, I can use the blister tape to secure it down, or even the absence of that, duct tape will work. Now the reason I trimmed the Band-Aid adhesive off the edge of that gauze is that the adhesive on Band-Aids are not strong enough to remain in place under your socks in your hiking boot as you continue to trek in the backcountry. And many of you have probably experienced Band-Aids slipping and sliding off the foot. So you want a stronger adhesive to hold that down. Back to the question as to why I punctured the wound. Many first aid guides will suggest that you cut the moleskin and form a little donut hole and put the moleskin over the blister with the blister in the donut hole so there's not actually pressure on it. The idea is that you don't drain it, it'll heal on its own. That is good advice if you're sitting at home wearing comfortable tennis shoes and not trekking miles in boots across the backcountry. What will happen is if you don't drain it, you will have the blister pop and tear the skin in an unsterilized environment, and the tear of the skin will expand and literally tear off much more skin than the size of the blister. If you're experienced in the backcountry, you've probably seen people who this has been done to. So, puncture and drain it in a sterile environment, cover it with the sterile gauze, and secure that gauze with adequate adhesive, whether it's tape, moleskin, or whatever. And then you could continue on your backpacking trek, hopefully a little more comfortable than before, but certainly much more sanitary for your blister.